My fiancée asked for a break due to a new guy, so I left and moved cities. She's now stalking me. Her parents apologized, but I refuse to talk. I'm 34 years old and I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong for refusing to speak with my ex, Sarah, who is 29. There's a lot of history here, and I'll try to explain it fully in mid-2022. I met Sarah at work, and we hit it off right away. I soon fell for her and we began dating shortly after. However, Sarah ended our relationship early on, due to a little disagreement. To make matters worse, she caused a commotion in front of everyone at work. I was sad, but I did not want to quit my job at first. Eventually, I realized I still had feelings for her, and seeing her every day was too hard. That's when I decided to quit and look for a new job. We lived close together, so we ran into each other regularly. Over the next few months, we began conversing again. But despite my feelings for her, I couldn't bring myself to consider getting back together. I was terribly saddened by what she had done. After a few months, she told me she regretted ending our relationship over something so petty. She stated that doing it in front of everyone was terrible, and she had been reflecting about it ever since. She appeared sincerely sorry, and I could see she meant it. I asked if she wanted to give our relationship another chance because I believed her apologies were genuine. She consented, and by early 2023, we were formally reunited 1 year later. Everything was going well. We discussed marriage and constructing a future together, which made me feel prepared to take the next step. I decided to surprise her with a proposal and began working additional hours to pay for a house so we could get married not long after. I didn't tell her why I was working so hard since I wanted it to be a surprise. Then out of nowhere, she requested a break. I was taken aback, and when I questioned why she refused to explain around the same time, I noticed she had been talking non-stop about a new person at her employment. But then she stopped mentioning him completely, which made me suspicious, perplexed, and hurt. I contacted one of my close friends, Emily, not her real name, who together with her partner continued to work at the same company as Sarah. I complained to Emily about what was going on and asked if she knew anything. She replied she didn't because she worked in a different department, but she promised to check around. Emily followed up with me a few days later. She told me Sarah had been feeling distant from me lately, especially since I was working longer hours and not getting out as often. Emily stated that some of Sarah's co-workers had encouraged her to take a break, believing I wasn't treating her well and wasn't as involved in the relationship. On top of that, they were attempting to link her with a new guy at work, claiming they'd be a better match. I told Emily about my plans to propose and purchase a home for Sarah and me. That was why I had been working so much. I wanted to surprise her with something large. Sarah called me after about 2 weeks and suggested we meet. I agreed, but I made it clear that I needed an explanation for why she wanted a break before we could talk about anything. Else she mentioned how detached I had appeared, adding it made her feel like I wasn't as invested in the relationship anymore. I told her that if she had just spoken with me about it, she would have realized there was a reason for my actions, but it didn't matter anymore. She then mentioned the new guy at her employment. I said his name before she could, and she was astonished, wondering how I knew. I assured her that I was not an idiot. I noted how she abruptly stopped talking about him after constantly bringing him up. She said she'd never cheated on me. I said that hunting for someone better at the first hint of difficulties may be considered cheating by some. At that point, I informed her I did not want to hear anything else she had to say. It didn't matter if she wanted to reconcile, I was ending my relationship with her regardless. The split left me extremely hurt. I couldn't bear being in the same town, so I requested my employer for a move and used the money I'd saved for the project to start over in a new city. While speaking with Emily, the friend I had previously vented to, she apologized to me. She stated that she had made a mistake by informing Sarah about my plans to propose and purchase a home. Emily stated, Sarah burst into tears after hearing that Emily's candor was welcomed, but it did not influence the outcome. By mid-December last year, I had returned to my hometown to celebrate Christmas and New Year's with my family. Some friends wanted to throw a party to bring everyone together, because many of us, including myself, had moved away and were only returning for the holidays. Sarah also received an invitation. We barely spoke that night, just a short hi in passing. I glanced at her and noticed her smiling while speaking with a group of women. That smile recalled so many memories. I realized that seeing her smile made me feel exactly the same way I felt the first time I saw it. I wondered to myself, how screwed up am I that I still feel This way, despite those residual emotions, I was still saddened and extremely upset by the way things had ended. Looking back, I've started to resent myself. I should have paid closer attention to how she felt. I could have informed her about the additional work and why I was doing it. Perhaps things could have turned out differently. Later that evening, one of my friends revealed that Sarah's relationship with the guy at work had only lasted a few months after the holidays I intended to return to. The city where I now dwell, my vacation ended on January 6th, so I planned to go on Friday. That way I'd have Saturday to tidy up at home and prepare for the week ahead, and Sunday to unwind before returning to work. Before I departed, one of my buddies from home contacted me. He stated he had a favor to request on behalf of someone else and warned me that I would not like it. I could already feel my stomach dropping. He then told me it was Sarah. She was moving to the city where I live to work, for a relative's company, and she needed a ride. He asked if I could take her. I didn't think about it before saying no. The thought of being locked in a car with her for hours was too much to take. It would have been excruciatingly embarrassing, just like the party, and I wasn't prepared to put myself through it. He insisted that Sarah and I talk, but I was having none of it. I returned home, and last week I went for a run. When I stopped Saint to relax briefly at a park, I heard a familiar voice say, "Hi," it was Sarah. She attempted to start a conversation by asking how I was and emphasizing that we didn't get to converse during the party. But I cut her off, stating I didn't want to speak with her. She told me not to be like that, and that we should have a chat, but I declined. She questioned how I could still dislike her after over a year and everything we'd been through. But I told her it wasn't resentment. I was quite truthful. I explained that thinking about her, talking about her, or even seeing her still hurts a lot, which is why I couldn't talk to her. She stated that this was exactly why we needed to communicate. I didn't understand the point, so I simply walked away. Sarah has tried to approach me twice since then, and both times I have turned her down. Some of my pals believe I'm being overly harsh and should talk to her for closure. Others argue that torturing her for the rest of her life is unacceptable. But that is not the point of this. I have no anger or ill thoughts against her anymore. I admit that I share some of the blame, but it still stings. I can't talk to her because it's like reopening an old wound that has never completely healed. So why are you refusing to talk to her? After reading the comments, the original poster thanked everyone for their advice. The op simply wants to explain things better. Op explained that their friends were not contacting or emailing them, telling them to talk to Sarah. It was simply the perspective of some of them when the matter was raised. Update February 2nd, 2025. Hello everyone. I wanted to provide another update and appreciate everyone for their thoughts. I read over each comment, and while I didn't react to everyone, it was only because I didn't have anything to say. I'm grateful to everyone who expressed their opinions. It's been quite helpful after reading everything and thinking about it. I've chosen to adhere to my choice not to speak to Sarah. I neglected to include it in my original post, but I did notify a few people that I blocked her everywhere after we broke up for the second time over the last 2 days. It appears that her insistence has backfired. Some of our shared acquaintances, including those who first suggested I talk to her, have become tired of her continuous attempts to reach me. They appear to have turned against her as a result of this. Emily, the friend I was venting to at the time, posted about stalkers on social media. 3 days ago, she did not name Sarah, but many people understood what she meant. I've also seen a few comments on my initial post that suggest Sarah was stalking me. Her job in the same city, as well as her serendipitous arrival in the park, support this theory for what it's worth. I know her uncle owns a company here, so that could be the real reason she moved. But that's not my concern, and I'm not going to investigate it. Things have been quieter, friends have abandoned the subject, and Sarah hasn't attempted to contact them again. That was until yesterday. I watched the UFC event with some coworkers. When it ended, I was on my way to my car when my phone called. A mutual friend called. She stated she had spoken with Sarah and asked if she could relay a message. I sighed and urged her to get it done quickly. Sarah just stated that she knows why I don't want to talk to her. She vowed she wouldn't contact us again, but she still believes. Documented everything in texts and emails to Stella, believing she would never turn against him when she forwarded the messages to the investigators. His fate was sealed. Are the parents present at the dinner? They wore wires. Every promise, lie, and illegal investment pitch was recorded. Miles tried to run, knocking over a waiter before sprinting for the door. He took 3 steps before being stopped by security as they led him away. He gave Stella that manipulative puppy dog expression that she had fallen for so many times. "This is all misunderstanding. Sweetie, tell them I am your father." Stella stood up shoulders straight. "My father's right here," she said, taking my hand. "And he just watched you get exactly what you deserve." The aftermath was intense news coverage, victim statements. More families are coming forward. The investigators discovered over $2.3 million in stolen funds. Miles estimates 15 to 20 years. His startup consisted solely of a website and some stolen photos of a real tech company's office. But the true victory was not witnessing Mill arrest. It was the brief moments that followed. Stella placed all of her photos with Miles in a box and donated them to the prosecution evidence, she said with a hint of her old smile. She reapplied to her AP courses. In light of the circumstances, the school was understanding instead of being angry. Her friends' parents formed a support group for families impacted by similar scams. Something good came from something bad. Stella asked me last night for help with her college essays. I have a pretty unique story. Now she explained how many people can write about bringing down their biological father's fraudulent empire. Delilah and I are in counseling. There is trust to rebuild and wounds to heal. But watching her meticulously place my photos back in the family albums and straighten each one that expressed more than words, Stella came down early this morning for breakfast. She carried an envelope with her. "I found this in my room," she explained, passing it across the table. "Miles asked me to send it last week. It is investment documentation for his startup. I figured you would want to add it to the evidence file." I stared at the envelope, then at her. "Do you want to deliver it to the investigators together?" She grinned, the genuine, unrestrained smile I had missed. "Can we get ice cream afterwards?" Some may argue that the vengeance was excessively severe. Whatever happens, that family is still family. However, a real family does not strive to take your future. A real family will protect you, even if it means shielding you from other relatives. Mill's sentencing date is next month. Stella plans to read a victim impact statement. She spent weeks working on it, painstakingly rewriting each word. She requested me to review it yesterday. "It needs a good ending," she went on, "something that shows I'm not just his victim anymore." I believe she's already found that ending. It's in the way she holds her head up right now and how she assists other children in identifying similar schemes in the college brochures on her desk, her actual route, not the one Miles attempted to sell her. Moving on sometimes entails ensuring that the past does not harm others, and sometimes the finest retribution isn't simply watching someone face consequences. It is thriving despite them. We are having a family meal tonight, only the 3 of us. Stella's making her famous pasta sauce, which she learned while watching cooking videos with me during lockdown. Normal, boring, and wonderful things related to the family. Miles will have plenty of time to ponder about these things from his cell. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.